You read the title correctly. I'm seeing way too many uncultured pro wrestling opinions about Vince McMahon's last good era, the PG era. There's too many of you people online who are either too young or just not hip to Vince's swan song era of logical writing, star building, and building intrigued. I'm going to go year by year and explain to you why the PG era is underrated and why it's way better than this supposed Renaissance era under Paul Levesque. 2009. Just a heads up. I took a break from pro wrestling after WrestleMania 25. I didn't come back until WrestleMania 28 for once in a lifetime, but I have done my research. I just couldn't sit through another boring-ass Triple H title run on weekly TV after he tried to bury Randy Orton in the main event of WrestleMania 25. But unfortunately for Noseman, 2009, Randy Orton was like mythical creature. There's been nobody on WWE TV in the Triple H era that truly understands how to work as a heel like 09 Orton dude. His work building up to WrestleMania 25 was generational. Kissing Stephanie right in front of Noseman was killer, and I'll give Triple H credit. He sold that shit like a champ. WrestleMania 25 was a mid-show, but the build-up was great, especially No Way Out 2009. Edge's storyline during that show was great work. You'll find nothing like that today with WWE and TKO's crowd pop booking. Yes, you can say 2009 was goofy for having the Raw guest host stuff, but I thought that shit was hilarious, man. SummerSlammed out, but they did totally overdo Cena versus Orton. But we also got Jeff Hardy versus CM Punk's feud this year, and Vince actually let them main event for the World Heavyweight title on SmackDown over Cena and Orton for the WWE title. You see that Noseman fanboys? That was Vince trying to make the World Heavyweight Championship on the same level as the WWE title, unlike today where you got the Yeet Man opening the show for it. Okay, 2010, this is the year I see people bring up the most when they want to tear down the PG era. And yeah, you'll get no defense from me on this. 2010 is peak Super Cena and peak family-friendly cringe WWE TV. Yeah, it was cool seeing Bret Hart come back and beat up Vince in street clothes he bought from Ross. And the Nexus storyline had potential, but Super Cena had other plans. So yeah, you win this round, Marks. 2010 is by far the weakest year of the PG era. Jack Swagger as world champion? What were you thinking, Vince? That's Jey Uso levels of paper champ. 2011 is a year I see get some praise from this era, but after going back to rewatch all the important stuff, it really is just 2010 style booking, but Vince took more risk. He actually gave guys like Christian and Mark Henry a chance in the main event, and both guys delivered their best work in WWE. SmackDown's title picture was definitely more interesting than Raw's this year. Frequent title changes and fresh faces in the main event scene. But everyone knows this year for the Summer of Punk. Not going to dwell on it. You all know this was good stuff. The pipe bomb, the Money in the Bank match, Punk leaving through the crowd whilst Vince stands there in disbelief. Crazy atmosphere, man. Then a cold wind from a big nose breezed by us, and in typical Triple H fashion, he attempted to bury a guy who was getting to over for his liking. So they had Punk get jackknifed by Kevin Nash. Luckily, both his quads were working that night. Then proceeded to job out to Triple H in a random match on PPV. Why? Because he's the game, and CM Punk doesn't want to play him. Overall, 2011 was a decent year, but still slightly better than today's era, now 2012. This is where the PG era really starts to shine. I say this with full confidence. There is not a single year in WWE post-2022 that can fuck with this period of the PG era from 2012 to 2014. We got our first installment of Once in a Lifetime between Cena and Rock, and WWE did big business for Mania 28. Punk was given the ball and held the WWE title all year, cooling Cena off a little bit after his years of dominance. Yeah, we had to sit through Cena versus Big Show and Johnny Ace, but everything can't be perfect. It was all side stories for the Cena comeback story for his twice-in-a-lifetime match with the Great One. We saw the ascension of Dolph Ziggler to a key player. You guys clown Dolph, but the dude was really one of the best workers in wrestling during this period, and I won't let you downplay it anymore. He was selling his ass off for everybody. We got Punk and Bryan in PPV matches for the WWE title in their primes. The fact Vince even allowed that shows he wasn't as out of touch as the IWC wanted you to believe. AJ Lee became a key face on TV, which the Divas division absolutely needed at this time. Not gonna lie, you marks can have it when it comes to women's wrestling. Pre-Women's Revolution, WWE wasn't really poppin' like that, and we got Raw 1000 with CM Punk's memorable heel turn on The Rock, which planted the seeds for their rivalry next year. We got the debut and push of someone Vince saw money in with Ryback, say what you want about him, but Ryback was over as fuck this year. Go listen to the pop that big meathead got when he came in to save Vince from CM Punk. But by far, the best thing about 2012 WWE was Brock Lesnar's return and putting Noseman in his place. Yeah, Brock had to job out to Super Cena first, which was tradition during this period. But the build-up to SummerSlam 2012 was excellent, billed as the perfect storm, great video and graphics packages for this show. Triple H was some suit, trying to tell Brock he couldn't just do anything he wanted and that the WWE had changed. Brock said, "Fuck that," and broke his damn arm. Hell yeah, Brock! And we finished off the year with the debut of 3 of the PG era's in-ring MVPs. The Shield. Good stuff from 2012. WWE kept the momentum going with 2013, starting off with one of the most underrated feuds of this era, CM Punk versus The Rock. The mic work from Punk was great. Rock did his thing on the mic too. The energy in that crowd for Royal Rumble 2013 was electric, dude. Yeah, Cena won the Rumble, so we knew we were getting once in a lifetime again, but damn it, Punk versus Rock was money. But staying on Punk, his feud with Taker was great and ended with a great match. The Paul Bearer stuff was the right type of offensive for this feud, and shout out to Bearer's family for allowing it. Got Punk some serious heat. Unfortunately, WrestleMania 29 wasn't the best show, especially with bald Triple H getting his win back over Brock. But we did get the debut of one WWE's best characters of the last 15 years, Bray Wyatt. The family was so refreshing, dude. Bray Wyatt had such a unique promo style, and having a dominant 3-man faction, we just knew we had to get the Shield versus the Wyatt family. Speaking of the Shield, these dudes were carrying, and I mean carrying, the work rate on TV this year. They were having great matches with everybody. You could say that Reigns, Rollins, and Ambrose technically aren't PG-era guys like that, but the Shield definitely was. 2013 also saw Vince give Dolph Ziggler the ball for a main event title run. The pop this bleach blonde Shawn Michaels wannabe got when he cashed in. Del Rio was some good shit, dude. Vince really thought we were going to cheer for Del Rio. Yeah, he was supposed to be the sovereign hero to the Mexican fans against the Build That Wall nationalist Jack Swagger and Dutch Mantel, but I don't think Vince realized it's fucking Jack Swagger. Unfortunately for Ziggs, the dude decided to get a concussion and Vince never trusted him again. But Vince sure as hell trusted CM Punk, because Punk once again stole the show at SummerSlam 2013, giving Brock one of his best matches and feuds of his return. SummerSlam 2013 really is one of the best shows of this era. Bryan winning the WWE title off Super Cena just for Triple H to turn on him and allow Randy Orton to cash in, leading to the creation of one of the best factions in WWE history, The Authority. Yes, you heard me. The Authority is up there with the Corporation, DX, The Nation, Evolution, and the Wolfpack, just a tier below the Horsemen and the NWO. I'm no fan of Stephanie McMahon and Noseman, but The Authority, in my honest opinion, is both of their best character work. Vince took a step back and let his doofus, son-in-law, and slut daughter do on screen what they had been doing backstage for years, being a pair of evil, two-faced, politzing, corporate bitches. And it was good stuff. You can just tell this how is how Stephanie and Hunter were like in real life, and they easily became the top heels on TV. Some will say the heel authority figure is played out, and sure, you can say this, but sometimes you really need an obstacle for the faces to overcome and the fans to despise, unlike today's WWE, where Adam Punk and Wide Shoulders Nick just let the entire roster punk them anytime they're on screen. And let's not forget about the best segment of 2013, Mark Henry's fake retirement. Emmy-worthy acting from Mark Henry here. He had us all fooled, real emotion on that man's face, and the crowd ate it up. This segment was so good. WWE tried recreating it again with AJ Styles. That was worth an Emmy Paul Herman, not that never-ending bloodline bullshit you were doing. But unfortunately, I have to say something I really don't want to. But I aim to be objective, not biased, at least not that bias. Stardust, also known as Cody Rhodes, had one of the best matches and feuds of the entire era. Cody Rhodes and Goldust versus The Shield at Battleground 2013 is a classic, man. Go watch that shit. Dusty hits the bionic elbow on Ambrose, and crowd fucking erupts. This shit wasn't even for the tag titles, dude, but the emotion, storytelling, and match quality were off the charts. And this was for a C-level show like Battleground. All right, 2014, in my opinion, the last year and the best year of PG era. The year started off rocky. Batista comes back and wins the Rumble to a crowd of boos. The fan obviously wanted Daniel Bryan, but he had to overcome the Wyatt family first. CM Punk walks out. And timing couldn't be worse for WWE right after the Batista win and the lackluster Rumble show. But post-Royal Rumble 2014, WWE were not messing around with these 2014 PPVs, dude. So many good matches and feuds this year. Craziest part is the match of the year happened all the way in February with The Shield versus the Wyatt family. We were all confused that this wasn't at Mania 30, but those guys tore the house down. Easily the best match ever for both factions. The build-up to WrestleMania 30 was excellent, and the peak of Daniel Bryan's yes movement, his face turn against Bray Wyatt, is still remembered by fans today. The atmosphere in that building had to have been something else, man. WrestleMania 30 is still one of the best manias in terms of quality and pacing. Anytime I watch it, I'm amazed at how well-paced that show is. Despite Bryan finally overcoming the Authority, the biggest story coming out of this show was The Undertaker's streak ending to Brock Lesnar. Brock needed this win, but I never thought they'd pull the trigger on a part-timer. This really was the beginning of the part-timer takeover of WWE, but it's still one of the most memorable moments of WWE. Evolution versus The Shield at Extreme Rules and Payback really carried those shows. Good stuff on them, but those matches are the highlights. And right after that, the friggin' Shields breaks up, with Rollins turning his back on the Hounds of Justice. Another great moment that we all remember. Noseman's Plan B promo leading up to the turn was good shit, dude. I forgot to mention this was beginning of the WWE Network. Another sign that the PG era was coming to a close and we were entering a new era. But not yet. Because unfortunately, Daniel Bryan got injured and Vince put the WWE title back on old reliable Super Cena. Listen, when Cena vs. Brock got made for SummerSlam 2014, I remember seeing so much talk from the IWC and wrestling media saying there's no way they put the belt on a part-timer, but also saying there's no way Brock loses right after ending the streak. The intrigue for this match was off the charts, but nobody could have predicted how it would play out. Brock absolutely destroys John Cena. Dude, this shit still shocks me to this day. Super Cena getting jobbed out like this was insane. You could say this was the end of the PG era, with its champion and the face of the company getting bitched out on a Big Four show. But nah, the true end of the PG era to me is Survivor Series 2014. This show is known for one match, and that match truly rivals The Shield versus the Wyatts for Match of the Year. Team Cena versus Team Authority had no right being as good as it was, dude. If you never watched it, get off this video and check it out. Ziggler being the sole survivor is honestly the highlight of his career, even over his world title win. Sting coming out was rumored, but it was still crazy to see him in the Fed. Unfortunately for him, Triple H smelled fresh WCW blood from his big-ass nose. Top 5 Survivor Series main event, though. This was the peak of the Authority storyline. And yeah, it continued after this, but Survivor Series 2014, to me, is the true end of the PG era. Sting coming out, too, with no real storyline or connection to anyone involved in the main event just screams Triple H booking for pop. Vince wouldn't have done this before. This is also the last time Cena was seen as the top guy in WWE, because just 2 months later, it was Roman Reigns' turn to pick up the torch and get booed as the top guy at Royal Rumble 2015. But overall, dude, the PG era is highly underrated. Storylines made sense, matches and feuds weren't dragged out long because Vince didn't know what to do. Vince still tried to create new stars like Ziggler, Ryback, Wade Barrett, Bray Wyatt, and even Sin Cara, Lowell. These are all things WWE began to drift away during the Reigns and Triple H eras. I'd rank the years like this. At the bottom, easily 2010, peak PG era cringe and Super Cena at the peak of his powers. Then 2009, just a mid-year, but the guest host stuff did make me laugh. Then 2011, Punk, Christian, and Mark Henry's main event runs carry the year. Then 2012, solid year all around. Match quality improved a lot. Runner-up is 2013, the best use of part-timers the WWE has ever done. And at the top is 2014. If you agree or disagree, tell me why in the comments.